Good. So, yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Daniel Avila. I'm AI engineer in Hedgineer. Gonna be talking about Claude Code templates, mostly working with Claude Code in this presentation. So if you are using Codex, if you are using Open Code, I'm not using that kind of agent, but I think it's with MCPs and skills is mostly the same thing. So I'm gonna try to respond this question: why I build AI Cloud Code template, aitemplate.com, and I'm gonna try to explain my full journey using Cloud Code, so you can understand why I start to build these components and why I start to build this whole templates to use, and also you can build this kind of template. So when you start with Cloud Code, mostly is just a prompt, and then you open Cloud Code and you start to write your prompt, and you start to think, how can I get access to different kind of things? How can I build a really good tools? Should I send my API key to the prompt to Cloud Code read this API key to access to my private data? So that kind of things is something that you start to do when you start with this kind of agents. But then you understand that you can use MCPs. So MCPs solve that kind of problems. They get you access to this kind of data source, to this kind of apps, different kind of apps. For example, I use a lot the linear MCPs to get access to my tickets, to change my tickets, to get the whole comment that every single ticket have. And that's the way that I can start to use this kind of technology to get access, to send this access to this data to Cloud Code. So in one side, I have my prompt, and then I have my MCP to get access to different kind of apps. But also, here you start to burn a lot of tokens. So when you hit this rate limit, you start to figure out that you need to start to set up different kind of settings. So at this point, you start to think, okay, I just want to build software. Why I need to understand what is settings, what I need to understand what is doing this MCP. This is not my MCP. I don't need to change these tools. What I need to trying to understand the whole things. I just want to work with Cloud Code and start to write code. But you need to understand settings. You need to go to a slash config and try to change different kind of settings, change your model. There's three kind of models in Cloud Code that you can use: Haiku, Sonnet, Opus. Now you can change the effort in this kind of models. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You can change the permissions. Also, you can change the tools that you're gonna use in different kind of MCPs, so you can turn off or turn on different MCPs. So this is a lot of that you need to learn to trying to just write code with Cloud Code. So it's a full different world. So at this point, you need to start to create different kind of commands. So one command is something that you are gonna do every single time, every single day. For example, git commit is a really good command. So you can start creating this kind of commands. And one command is just a markdown file. If you write a really good markdown file, if you know how to write a really good prompt, you can create this prompt like a command, and you can just execute these commands every single time that you need to create a commit, for example. You can create this command and run this command. And that's awesome, because you can start to use this kind of command. You can create a full stack of commands to use with Cloud Code. So now you have your prompts, you have your MCPs, you have your whole settings that you need to continually learning what new settings Cloud Code team or Codex they are shipping this kind of settings. And also you have your stack of commands, different prompts, different markdown files that you can use. But at this point, you need to create different separate tasks. So if you use one command, you're gonna send in the whole context to the main agents. In this case, the main agent in Cloud Code. If you send the whole context to these main agents, you're gonna be burning tokens. So you can use these sub agents to create separate tasks to run these separate tasks in different contexts. So you can create different agents with different commands, with different MCP tools, with different settings in separate contexts, and you can start to run different tasks. And this is a lot. So at this point, this is a lot that you need to learn to just write code. Um, but also, that's the final. I promise, this is the final. You need to start to create the skills. So when you create the skills, this is more an elegant way to inject context to your agents because you can create different kind of reference. You can execute code in your skills. You can use skills inside of sub agents. You can run skills inside of your commands, and you can also create different kind of settings inside of different kind of skills. So now you have a full stack to different components to use inside of Cloud Code. But you need to learn all these things. You need to learn how to create a different sub agents for different tasks. That's the reason I create this platform because that's a lot. And there's some people that they like to build this kind of things. They like to learn how to build this kind of things. I'm I'm sure, I'm pretty sure that the whole people over here, they are trying to understand how to build skills, how to use it, how to create different kind of skills. But also there's people that they just need to execute these kind of things. So if we go to this article over here you can understand how to connect MCPs with the skills. So if you read everything is in my Twitter. You're going to be able to understand the difference between the skills and MCPs and how to use these two things together. So here I explain the difference between APIs and MCPs, but this is the most important part. So if you build a tool inside of an MCP, this is before skills appear. So I was writing the whole documentation inside of just one function in this MCP. So this is wrong. This is super hard to understand. Why I need to create this whole documentation is inside of just one tool. So, for example, this one, related tools. This is gonna work if you create one tool inside of one MCP and you write the whole documentation inside of the tool. This is gonna work because the MCP client and the MCP server they are gonna send this information between these two things, and they are gonna send the whole documentation and the whole function to the model. So the model is going to be able to understand what this tool is doing because we are writing the whole description over here. But with the skills, it's different. With the skills, you just need to create a clean tool with just this description. So here you are creating just something that you are going to use, the super clean function, and then inside of the skill, you have to create the whole workflow to use these kind of tools. So in this way, you can use skills and also you can use MCPs together. This is the most important part of the skills. You need to create a really good name. The name is really important, and also the description. This is an example, but you can add when to use it, how to use it, what to use it. Everything that you write over here the model is gonna read just this part, just this YAML part at the beginning, And then the model is going to be able to go to the full skills and read the full skills. And then the model is going to go to the reference and read the reference, read every single file. And also the model is going to be able to execute these tools. So that's the difference between MCPs and skills. And in this part, when you write really good tools, you have to just write a clean tool in the MCP, but the skill is going to be mostly the full workflow to execute these different tools inside of the MCP. You can go to read that article in my Twitter if you want. So this is just one part of the whole part that you need to learn if you're going to use this kind of agents. Now we have prompt, we have MCPs, we have settings, we have sub agents, we have the skills, and also we have the Claude.md. That's super important. Agents.md, the same thing. Super important because you're always going to send these kind of files to the model. The model is going to read every single time these files. Also, you have hooks. You can use hooks to get every single log every single time that one agent is executing and tools. You can use this hook to trigger different kind of rules. Also, you have open telemetry if you want to read the whole chat or the whole conversation that the agent is doing in the background. You can use open telemetry to get the whole data, the whole information. You have review, you have a GitHub action that you can trigger different things, and also you can use these things in Cloud Code in the CLI, and also you can use these things in Cloud Desktop in CodeWork. Right now we have CodeWork, and also you can use this in ChatGPT. So you need to learn a lot of things just to build things with this technology. So that's the reason I create this platform. This is open source. You can go to the repo, you can read the whole skills that I'm building and the whole community is building right now. So if you go to this web page, you're going to be able to see the skills, agents, commands. Of course, if you change something to improve these skills to use in your project, it's going to be a better way to start if you read the whole skill. So totally agree that you need to read the skills because it's pretty easy to read. It's a documentation file. So also you can use Docusaurus, PyDocs if you want to read in a really good web page this kind of skills. So for example, this person over here, she sent this skill, these hooks and these agents to this repo. So if you want to build something, if you want to share really good skills, hooks, or whatever you want and share with the community, you're going to be able to just send a pull request, and the skills or the full components is going to be in the platform. Also, if you want to just use these skills and these agents and these hooks, you can just go to the platform and just create a free account and start to create your collections. So if you want to, for example, here I have my full collection from frontend. I'm really bad in frontend, so I create my whole files, folders, agents, skills, and I start to use this kind of skills. So people is people is contributing these kind of skills, and I'm using these skills. But also I'm reading these skills, I'm reading these agents, I'm learning from the community. So you can create different collections, you can create your full stack for Vercel, for Neon, for different technologies, and you can create everything that you want in this web platform. And also, if you want to install this whole stack of components, it's just one command. So, for example, here, this whole stack is just running this command. You're going to be able to use it in your project. So finally, what we are doing in Hedgineer, we are doing the same thing. We are creating different marketplace with different plugins, and we are building the whole path for a hedge fund. So these kind of companies, they don't have to learn everything what I just explained. I'm pretty sure there is going to be in the future companies building this kind of components, building the whole path to use these skills agents in Codex, in Cloud Code. And in the other side, there's going to be companies that they just need execute these kind of things. So you can be a builder and you can start to create these marketplace plugins for specific areas. And also you can just use it. In this case, we are creating the whole marketplace for hedge funds. We are creating the whole path to use MCPs to get access to different data sources, to execute the skills with these MCPs. And also, we are creating hooks, every single rule that you need to run if you're going to use these kind of components. We are creating that for hedge fund specifically. And also, user skills is not it's easy because it's documentation, it's in English, so you can read the whole documentation, but also you can use different skills and you can call more skills inside of one skill. So for example, if you create one skill, specific skills to use, I don't know, Vercel, to deploy your Vercel stack. So if you create that skills with the whole reference, if you want to connect this skill with your database skills, you can run these skills inside of the other skills. So if you need reference from another skills, you can just say inside of the skills, please call this skill if you want to run database. If you want to run, I don't know, another technology, everything is in English. Everything have to be inside of one skills to call different kind of skills to create the perfect context to send this context to the LLM, and the LLM is going to be able to execute the task that you want to read. So that's everything that I have to say. If you have any question for me, please.